I got a special edition of Jets Roundtable for you guys today. So welcome on in where we cover all things New York Jets, especially during this free agency period. Free agency has been straight fireworks, but make sure you hit that like button. It lets us know that you're watching, as well as hit that subscribe button to get real-time updates on when videos like this drop. And like I said, I have a pretty special episode today. This episode is for the fans, especially the ones that have doubts about the two signings of Demario Davis and Geno Smith. Now, I'm one of them people who have been heavily critical of Geno Smith. It's going to be really interesting to see what he had to say in this one-on-one interview. And I know there's been some people that critiqued the signing of Demario Davis. He is 37 years old. He's in the twilight of his career. Seemed like the Jets need young players. Why would they target him? And in my opinion, it's because they know how much of a leader Demario Davis is. Now, I've heard about these interviews and this press conference. I waited to watch them because I wanted to watch it with you guys and react in real time. So make sure you guys sound off in the comments. When we hear something, I'll play a little bit, I'll stop, I'll react, but make sure you guys sound off in the comments. Let me know the things that if you like what you're hearing, or if you hear some things that be like, hey man, I don't know, sound off in the comments, because we're both going to find out what we're getting in Demario Davis and as well as Geno Smith together in real time. So without further ado, man, let's go. I'm excited. This is Demario Davis's press conference. We're going to start with him. Linebacker signed to the New York Jets. This is his third stint with the team. I've heard how much of a leader Demario Davis is. He showcased that in his first and second stint with the New York Jets, as well as his time as a New Orleans Saint. So we're about to find out what the true definition of leadership is when it comes to Demario Davis. Let's go, man.
Buddy. First, I just want to start with how grateful I am to be back, how grateful I am to this organization, how grateful I am to the Johnson family for thinking so highly of me to bring me back. I know what it means to be a part of the Jets family. I know what it means to wear these colors, to wear this brand, and it means a lot coming back. Before I speak to New York, I really have to just send my honor to New Orleans.
All right, it sounds like he's about to talk about his time in New Orleans. I just want to start out with that first quote. I said this on the live show with Richie and Jake. Salute to both of them. Said this on the show. If anybody was to be signed to be a captain of this defense, at first I was with Alex Anzalone being signed. He went to the Tampa Bay Bucks. But this is the second bet. I don't think they could have done any better in getting Demario Davis to be the linebacker and the quarterback of the defense and the leader of that locker room for the New York Jets. We saw the turmoil when it came to the New York Jets, especially defensively last season. A lot of mistakes, penalties, blown coverages. And from what we're hearing, it was due to a lack of communication. Demario Davis is not one of those guys. And the most important thing I want everybody to focus on what he just said is something I said I expected from him on the live show on Thursday. Demario Davis knows what it's like to be a New York Jet. And if it's anybody in that locker room who wants to change the narrative of same old Jets, Demario Davis will most likely be on the front lines of that. So let's hear what he got to say about his time in New Orleans. I think it's going to give us a little bit of insight of how much of a leader he's been, not only for the New York Jets and what he will be, but for what he was to New Orleans. So this is what we're getting.
New Orleans. That is such a great city, very resilient, so much pride, so much love. That city really opened its arms up to me and my family. That's such a vibrant community and great organization. I believe Mrs. Benson is one of the greatest owners in sports, and it truly was an honor for us to play there. At the same time, we feel like we are able to come here with so much peace because our mission there is complete. In terms of leadership in that locker room, what my purpose was in being there was to help navigate and keep the locker room steady through the high times and the low times. As that team left out of one era with Hall of Fame coach and Hall of Fame quarterback, I got a chance to help lead a locker room that had to navigate some adverse times, and now seeing that ship is turning in the right direction, I'm super excited for that organization, but at the same time, it was time for us to step off the ship. But not only were we there for football, we were there for so much more. The work that we were able to do in that community was greater than anything that we could have imagined, and because of partners like the 18th Ward and Oshner, that work will continue and is sustainable for many generations.
So that was Demario Davis on his time in New Orleans. And the key thing that he said was feels at peace from leaving New Orleans because he knows the mission was complete there. He knows how much he was able to utilize his leadership in that locker room to bring along young talent. And that's going to be something that the New York Jets are going to need going into 2026, especially when we already have Jamien Sherwood on this roster. He underperformed last season. I'm hearing people saying go ahead and get rid of him. I honestly feel like having Demario Davis next to Jamien Sherwood may give us the best of Jamien Sherwood, having a leader like Demario Davis to learn from. We heard about his work in the community. He has a organization called the Devoted Dreamers Foundation that was founded in 2023 that helps youth like with their spirituality, helps them gain confidence. So Demario Davis is very active in the community as well in New Orleans, did a great job there. Definitely expect him to do the same thing in New York, but I think that speaks to the type of guy Demario Davis is. He's not only a leader on the field, but a leader in his community as well. So we're truly blessed to have him. So let's go ahead and go over the next clip. This is going to be Demario Davis, I do believe, talking on why he chose to come back to the New York Jets. Let's go ahead and play this clip.
Why we came back to New York was a multitude of reasons. Number one, we go where we feel like we're being sent to. Number two, I believe in so much of what's being built here under the leadership of Aaron Glenn, a.k.a. AG. And for myself as a leader, this was the mission that I was excited to step into. As you did, I never realized that, leaving here, I felt like the mission personally was a little incomplete, but getting a chance to step back into and be a part of what's being built, I'm super excited about that. I think there's a ton of great things on the horizons for this organization. You can already see glimpses of what's being built as the moves that have happened early in the offseason, with so much more on the horizon.
I want to stop it there because that's interesting. Like, that's the type of stuff that I was wondering about Demario Davis, of how he felt about his previous stints with the New York Jets, because this is the first Jets player in New York Jets history who has a third stint with the team. And hearing him say that, there was kind of like a hole left in him when he left, because he felt like he left with the mission being incomplete. Something that he said he felt when he left New Orleans, that he felt like he completed the mission. The New York Jets was a mission that he left incomplete. So I do believe we're going to get the absolute best of Demario Davis next season. And he said that he likes what he's seeing currently from the New York Jets. He sees the seeds and he feels like it's only a matter of time before they blossom And he's the perfect guy to lead them to that. So let's go ahead and continue with the clip.
So I'm really excited to be a part of that. And this is my third time around, but as I come back this time, I come back very different. I come back very purposeful, very clear on vision, and very clear about who I am. And this wasn't a happenstance situation. This was a choice, very specific. Knowing who I am and who I'm called to be, I know exactly what I'm stepping into this time around.
Sounds like a guy on a mission to me. I know people have talked about declining numbers. Maybe this past couple of seasons, it's been a couple of years since he's had over 5 sacks. Maybe that's due to how kind of New Orleans was. They were kind of tanking. Let's keep it real. But he said this is a new version of Demario Davis. It seems like a more mature version, a version that's more confident, especially in a situation with the New York Jets where criticism flies heavily, especially when they're losing games. Sounds like he's going to be a stable presence inside of that locker room who knows who he is and knows exactly what he brings to the table as a leader. Let's go, man. That's got me excited, bro. Let's roll this clip.
I know who I am and I know what I bring to a locker room. I take a lot of pride in playing the game at an elite level. And every year I step on the field, I'm trying to be better than the prior year. I take a lot of pride and passion in helping elevate a defense. Playing amongst and inside of the top defenses in the league is something that I take a lot of pride in being a part of. So helping our defense get to that place is a mission of mine.
He's not here. Sound like Demario Davis isn't here for this defense to be mediocre. He says he's used to playing with some of the top defenses in the league, and he prides himself to be one of the most important pieces to lead a top defense in the league. We saw the signings. You guys know the signings. Joseph Asai, Kingsbury Anakbare. Them being paired with Demario Davis on that front line and whoever they choose in the draft, whether it be Arvell Reese or David Bailey, we might have a monster defense on our hands with this leader in Demario Davis. Let's go ahead and continue the clip.
I'm very intentional about helping young players take the next step inside of their career, whether that's on the field or off the field, whatever is necessary to maximize this season of life. I take a lot of pride in. And I also take a lot of pride in helping the organization as a whole grow. We have one of the fastest growing games in the world. If you look at what's happening in terms of our sport and how it's growing internationally and how it's reaching so many more communities, getting a chance to participate in helping the organization elevate is something that I take a lot of pride in. I speak to the fans. I know what this city's expectations is, and I know what the city desires, and I don't come in with any false hope or false promises. I'm only letting you know that I'm committed to the work, that I'm here to serve, that I'm here to give every part of me to help be a part of what's being built and to lead in a way that everyone that's watching will be proud of. And I would just say, man, it's great to be back and be a New York Jet. And everyone should be fired up for what's ahead. Let's get going. Let's get to work.
How can you not be fired up? How could you, as a Jets fan, with everything that we've seen, all the dysfunction in the organization, all the lack of communication, Harrison Phillips' words to our guy Richie about people not being bought in, some people not on the same page, they lost a lot, so their mentality's different. This is the guy. This is why I wanted to make the video. I don't care that Demario Davis is 37. the production is still there. He's still graded as one of the top linebackers in the league. If we get that on the field as well in this locker room, I feel like Demario Davis, with his connection with Aaron Glenn and Aaron Glenn calling his defense, will have the ability to bring this defense together. How can you not be fired up as a Jets fan after everything he said? He said, New York Jets, let's go. And I love the fact that he didn't place an unrealistic expectation for the New York Jets next year and just said he's committed to the work. But at the same time, he knows who he is. He knows what he brings to the table, what type of leadership he's going to bring, especially when it comes to young talent on his roster, which is why I mentioned Jermaine Sherwood. I'm also going to mention T'Vondre Sweat, some guy that we're hearing possibly there's some questions that may have a low motor, doesn't necessarily know if football is his number one priority. Having a guy like Demario Davis to kick things in gear when it comes to talent like Jermaine Sherwood and T'Vondre Sweat to teach them how to be professionals, not only on the field, but off the field, shows us exactly what type of leader Demario Davis is. So salute to Demario Davis, man. He took some questions. Let's see if we can get a couple of them, and then we'll move on to Geno Smith.
Hey, Demario, welcome back, man. You mentioned, that it's the third time. I think you might be the first player who's had a third stint with the Jets. Just today, has it been surreal for you just seeing a lot of, some familiar faces and some faces that you know from other places now here in New York or New Jersey?
Yeah, it is. It's very surreal seeing familiar faces like yourself. Man, it really feels like coming back home. Though 8 years being away, being in New Orleans, and they had open arms, and we met a lot of relationships there that are here now. There are a lot of New Orleans synergies inside the building as well. It just feels like the right thing, and I just all throughout the day it just feels right. And my faith is always on display, so I feel like God is always going before you. But when you're able to see the light in front of you, it's incredible, and it's very much a homecoming feeling. And
it sounds like Demario Davis is going to be on a mission next year. He's bringing up his faith, what he sees, he believes in his organization. Pretty sure there's going to be a question about his relationship with Aaron Glenn and the things that he sees in a second. But I'm gonna keep bringing this up. I think this is more than just about football when it comes to Demario Davis. And that's exactly what you need, what we need as Jets fans to turn this thing around. Salute.
And that's very rewarding.
Demario, long time no see. What was the recruiting process like? I mean, did AG have to sell you at all, or how did this marriage happen this time?
Yeah, Rich, it's good to see you. I just think as knowing that free agency was looming, and knowing that the season of life could be coming to an end in New Orleans, it was just a lot of prayer and reflection. And once my agents let me know that the Jets were an option, it was a no-brainer. And I've been watching AG from afar. So my career has overlapped with AG in every place that I've been. When I was drafted here, he was in scouting. There was overlap in Cleveland. He was a big reason I ended up in New Orleans. And now here, I didn't even need to have a conversation with him to be all on board and to get here and see what it is that he's building and the culture and just to feel the energy in the building. Just a ton of excitement.
He wants to be here. It's the number one thing. Anytime the Jets sign the player, my biggest questions and my biggest concerns is usually the Jets have to pay a Jets tax due to them being so bad to get players in the building. They did spend quite a big chunk of change in free agency for Demario Davis as well, but also for Joseph Asai. But hearing that from him, that he didn't even need to have a conversation from AG to be all bought in to the New York Jets. Man, how does it not fire you up? Anybody that's been critical of Demario Davis, how can you be after hearing this? He believes in us. He believes in the New York Jets. I understand how terrible we are currently. We have to see how 2026 plays out. But I don't feel like he's feeding us phony baloney, for lack of a better expression. It was the first thing that came to my mind. But he's not feeding us BS. He's keeping it 100% real. I want to be here. I didn't need a whole bunch of conversations or to get courted. As soon as I knew my time with the New Orleans Saints was up, New York Jets was the destination, because I have unfinished business. And it may not even be from a production side. It may be from a leadership standpoint of where he could lead this team going into the future. Man, how could you not be fired up? Let's get another question, then we'll move on.
Mario, what is it about AG that excites you to be able to be coached by him in the way you're going to be now that he's the head coach?
I think any great leader or anyone that would talk to you about being a part of a great organization would tell you that it's about the people. And I think great leaders are people who can either bring in the right people, curate, the right people environment, or build the right people. And I think he does it all. And as you walk through the building, you can feel his leadership before you even have a conversation with him. And, I think that was just always a natural connection, knowing that he understood the game, he played the game, but also he knew how to connect and inspire. And I always saw that about him. I got a chance to follow all the great things that he did in Detroit and seeing how he turned that organization around. And so I think who he is goes before him. But I think what people don't know is when you walk into this building, you can feel who he is, and the way that people talk about him. And I just think it just comes from who he is. And I believe in what he's building because he's building it with the right people. You look at, some of the people that have been brought in, that just shows that he feels a certain way about those individuals, but those individuals feel the same way about him. And I'm just really excited to be a part of all that's being done.
All right, man. So that's Demario Davis coming back to the Jets, man. Talking about leadership, reflecting on his time being here before as well as his time in New Orleans, saying his mission was complete in New Orleans, and his next destination didn't even have to think about it, didn't even have to have a conversation, was the New York Jets, because he feels that's a mission he did not complete. And as a 37-year-old player, your time isn't going to be forever. He knows his career's dwindling down. Feel like it's deeper than just X's and O's when it comes to the New York Jets for Demario Davis. And I like what he said about Aaron Glenn, too. Aaron Glenn does deserve his criticism. One question that popped in my mind when he mentioned Aaron Glenn and the type of person he is, and you could feel Aaron Glenn's personality all throughout the building, was, well, can he coach? And that's the question. Can AG actually coach and get this Jets team out of the gutter? Can he do that? Because that's the most important thing when it comes to Aaron Glenn. But having a guy like Demario Davis say that, who I don't think minces words, and usually when you watch these press conferences, you can kind of tell if they're just giving you PR talk or if it's BS. I'm not getting any of those vibes from Demario Davis. So maybe we do need to give Aaron Glenn a little bit of time to show us what he can do, especially when he's calling his defense and has Demario Davis as a leader, not only for that defense, but for the rest of the locker room as well. So you guys sound off in the comments. You guys let me know. Hopefully you've been commenting as the videos have been going along and as I've been stopping them. You guys sound off in the comments. Let me know. Are you now excited? If you had doubts before, did it change your mind? Are you now excited about having Demario Davis, a true leader. The definition of leadership is why I put that title there. Are you excited to have Demario Davis to lead this team into his next direction? Sound off in the comments. Make sure if you're still tuning in, you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're not done. It's time to get into Geno Smith because it all comes full circle. This is Geno Smith's second stint with the team. Was originally drafted from the New York Jets. Think like in around 20, let me get 1 second. I think it was 2013. Drafted by the New York Jets. Later traded, locker room issues. You know, I ain't going to rehash old things. Traded, went to the Giants. He was a backup. Do believe he went to the Seahawks after that. Math might be a little bit messed up. Went to the Seahawks, was a backup for a season. They traded Russell Wilson. Geno Smith showed out for 2 to 3 seasons, 2 times over 4,000 yards. Touchdown to interception ratio was going crazy. Even kind of talks in the MVP conversation. Not necessarily MVP level, but they were having that conversation around Geno Smith with his time with the Seahawks. Went to the Raiders and it kind of all fell off, which had me questioning what version of Geno Smith are we going to get? One big thing that I had a worry about was how is Geno Smith mentally? I saw him flipping off home crowds and away crowds. That's not nothing I necessarily want to see from my quarterback. So bringing in Geno Smith to the New York Jets, while he is the most accomplished quarterback that the New York Jets have had probably since Namath when it comes to stats anyway. Since Joe Namath, he's the only quarterback that the New York Jets have had that's had a 4,000-yard season. My biggest question was his mentality. And in this interview, we about to find out the mentality of Geno Smith and what his expectations are coming to the New York Jets. So let's go ahead and play this interview.
Okay, so let's fast forward. When did this become a reality this offseason that a reunion could be on the horizon?
Yeah, I think, initially, obviously, after the season, there's always going to be some talks, within the organization talking about Las Vegas, of potentially what to do. And obviously with the first pick, potential there to go with the quarterback. And so for me, obviously that means I would have some decisions to make. And, I really had no idea, where that could be. But once, the kind of the writing was on the wall per se, or, once we knew that, the direction they may be going in would eventually lead to me heading in a different direction, kind of started to, look out there and see what was out there. And, eventually, once we were able to kind of talk to some teams, got word from word from the Jets, that there was a possibility. And, initially, I'm the type of guy, I just want to, hear all the options, give me all the options and let me figure it out. And once I got the opportunity to really like look at it all, it was kind of a no-brainer. And just talking to AG, and hearing his plan for the team and how he was going to lead it and what his plan and my role was with the team, I was pretty sold on it. And then, Demario Davis hit me with a text and was like, "Hey man, let's do it." And that was kind of all the confirmation I needed. And so we decided to make it happen. Obviously, very honored. Even for the team to even again want me to be the quarterback again. And so I'm looking forward to the opportunity and extremely excited. My family's extremely excited to be back in Forum Park.
All right, so not too bad from Geno Smith in his opening question. I'm not too sure if he needed to be convinced. It's not the answer that Demario Davis gave us, where it was no question that he was coming back to the New York Jets. He didn't even need to have a conversation with Aaron Glenn to know that he wanted to be a part of the team. Different from Geno Smith, wanted all his options. We even heard that there was ties to Geno Smith with the Minnesota Vikings, actually, which is why the New York Jets went ahead and traded for him. Sent them a 6th-round pick. They sent back a 7th-round pick along with Geno Smith. That's the reason why the Jets did that, to be proactive, because apparently Geno Smith had options. Now, the question could be, the first question that comes to my mind anyway, is was the New York Jets your first option or your only option? Because it's not like he got released and then he signed here. This is a quarterback that the New York Jets had to trade to get. So could he have told other teams that I'm not interested, I want to go to the New York Jets, and the Jets could have kept that pick and then just signed Geno to a minimum since the Oakland Raiders are taking care of $18 million of his cap? It's a little bit questionable to me. I'm not going to knock him for it. I salute to everybody that likes to review all their options, but it is a little bit something to think about. Let's continue on with the interview, because on this clip is talking about Geno Smith reflecting on his time with the Las Vegas Raiders. There's going to be more stuff in there, but let's go ahead and roll this clip.
You mentioned the other day when you were talking to Josina that your last touchdown pass, you remember throwing it to Quincy Enunwa at MetLife Stadium. With that, but with that being said, how much have you changed as a person and also as a quarterback from the guy that Jets fans saw throw that touchdown pass to Q?
Well, number one, as a person, I think just growth, man. I mean, what was I, like 25 years old, maybe 26 at the time. And I mean, that's in a whole 10 years, it's gone by. And that's a lot of experience, and that's a lot of, life lessons and different things that, will kind of shape you. And so I've gained a ton of perspective just from my time over the course of time, and just been around some great coaches, been around some great players, been on some great teams, and just being a sponge and learning from all those experiences, I think has helped me get to this point. But you never want to stop learning, you never want to stop growing, and so I'm continuing to learn, and this experience as well is one that I will continue to learn from and continue to be better from. And so just as a man, I mean, I got 2 kids now. I'm a little bit older, but I still can move. I still can do all the things that I was doing back then. And then as a player, again, just the mental side of it, right? Just the understanding of the game, the understanding of protections, the understanding of, mic points in the run game, and just how to get in and out of, plays, and, wanting to always be in a good play. Those are the things, again, that, I've quarterback top 10 offenses, and I've done certain things to me that can show what I can do, but it's all about, what you can do right now. And so none of that stuff really matters. I'm looking forward to my teammates there in Florham Park, and building with those coaches and getting on the field and becoming what we'll become, once everything starts up.
Okay, I like that. He didn't really go too much in the depth of how he's grown mentally. He kind of used, 10 years of experience. He's played with great teams, quarterback great teams, top 10 offenses, things like that. Said he still believes that he can move around and throw the ball just the way he used to. Said he's now a father with a family. I do know, as a father myself, that does change you mentally. It does make you grow up, to the ones that care anyway. But it does change you mentally, and it does make you much more mature. So maybe with the New York Jets, we are getting not only a more mature quarterback who understands coverages, understands the running game, understands defensive schemes, knows when to throw the football, knows when not to take a chance. We understand all that, but I think the biggest thing and my biggest worry was, who is Geno Smith as a person now coming into the New York Jets? Because things aren't going to be easy. I can already imagine the first time Geno Smith throws an interception at MetLife Stadium, and a bad interception at that. Can only imagine the pressure that's going to mount immediately. So who is Geno Smith up here has been my biggest question. I am a little bit calmed down when it comes to that. A man with kids does grow. He has 10 years of experience. He has played with the Seahawks, who was a really good organization. Even though he was a backup, played with the Giants. They were a really good organization. So maybe, and he played with the Giants while Eli Manning was there. He was supposed to be the heir apparent to Eli Manning, apparently. Must have learned a lot during his time there. So I do believe we are getting a more mature Geno Smith. You guys sound off in the comments and let me know if you agree. Let's go ahead and roll the clip.
Well, number one, as a person, I think just growth, man. I mean,
Here in 2022 and 23, you're a Pro Bowl performer. Your passer ratings up towards the top of the National Football League, or at the very top. During that run, not so much from Seahawks, what they were doing schematically, but What was happening for you to allow you to have success?
I think, success is especially as a quarterback, man, like it's not just simply on the quarterback. I can't just sit here and take all the credit for that. That would be completely wrong. First of all, I started with, having, great front office who, put the players around me. Then you think about the coaches that we had, great coaches, Shane Waldron and, other coaches on our staff that coached those guys up and prepared us every single week. The big boys up front blocking for me. I remember, Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, they're just rookies, that first season. And so to see those guys blossom into what they are now, but just the big boys up front, without them, nothing can go. Then you talk about the receivers on the outside with DK. I had Tyler, I had Jackson. Tremendous players, running backs, Ken Walker, Charbonnet, surrounding with talent, surrounding the quarterback with talent and then allowing him to go out there and play his game. And that's what happened. I just was able to go out there and play free. And I had great guys around me. And obviously, like I said, the experiences and all that stuff, helped me get to that point. But the reality is that I played efficient. I just went out there and did my job. I played alongside my other teammates on offense and did what I was supposed to do. And then when the moment came, whether that was a clutch moment in the fourth quarter or a big third down or time in the red zone, that's when, I was able to step up and make a play. And that's what the quarterback does, man. He's a part of the team. And then, if the best ones will always get you over the hump. And so for me, it was always about just winning games, however that looked. And I didn't care about getting the credit. I still don't. Statistics, you want your stats to be good because that means you're playing good football. But ultimately, the only statistic that matter is wins. And so that's all I'm focused on is just trying to, again, build this thing with my teammates and coaches, build, just this winning culture that everyone can be proud of.
All right. So Geno Smith on building a winning culture. And it was really interesting to see about how he attributed his success and what he attributed to his success in his time during Seattle. And it was the talent that they had around him. And Darren Muji has shown that he's a shrewd GM, able to make the right moves. It's going to be really interesting to see what type of team Darren Muji puts around Geno Smith, because it's in his own words. Geno Smith operates best when he has elite talent around him. He named the wide receivers like DK Metcalf, baller. Like Kenneth Walker, just won a Super Bowl. Charbonnet just won a Super Bowl. Absolutely ballers. He now has Breece Hall and Braylon Allen in the backfield. He now has a top wide receiver in the league in Garrett Wilson, and most likely getting some help to that skills position coming soon. I was right. I really believe that the best way for the Jets to have a great season with Geno Smith is to put elite talent around him. He has the offensive line. He talked about having a great offensive line. He will have that with the New York Jets. So maybe my opinions on what this season could be with Geno Smith might be changing a little. It might be all right. Let's go ahead and get into the next clip, because I do believe Geno talks about Aaron Glenn on this next clip. I do believe. Let's go ahead and get it rolling.
Speak to that plan that AG told you about and what his vision is for you with the Jets.
Yeah, without, giving too much away, obviously, be the leader, step in, be the voice for him in the locker room. Be myself first and foremost, and come in and, be the leader and take over, and take this thing over. And, he wants veteran leadership. He wants, guys who played a lot of football. And, I can be both of those things for him. But, it's really simple, go out there, be yourself, lead the team, and go out there and get it done and get wins. And, he's going to be right there having all of our backs. And, I truly believe in Coach Glenn. I think he's a special coach, and, I've seen him, I've played against him. I know what his defense has to offer. And so I know he's going to be great on that side. And, I can't wait to get back, with the team and just get to work.
Geno, did you feel connectivity right off the bat when you and AG were having those conversations? And did it take long at all for you to be like, you know what, this is where I got to go to?
I did, honestly, man. Just, because he's an ex-player. I mean, I watched him. You know, I'm growing up in Miami. I watched him play against Dan Marino. I watched him with the Jets. His time there, and you know, when I got to the league, he was actually on the staff in New York when I got there, and then following his career, you know, him becoming the D coordinator of the Saints, and then obviously going to be the D coordinator in Detroit. Having played against him a few times, I know exactly what his defenses are like, and they're always super tough. They play sound. He has a great scheme, and I mean, guys just fly around. And so, knowing that that's the type of coach that he is, that's the type of defense that I want to play alongside and play with. It was a no-brainer again. He's a real dude. He talks to you. There's a realness to him. There's a calmness to him. You know, there's a confidence to him, and those are the things that, you know, really draw me into it.
Okay. So anybody got criticism about Aaron Glenn? That's the second time. Well, we've heard, hey, you can feel the leadership off of Aaron Glenn immediately. Demario Davis has said that. And like I said, I don't think Demario Davis caps about anything. And now we're hearing that from Geno Smith. Is that one of the reasons why he wanted to come to the New York Jets is he felt the automatic synergy in between him and Aaron Glenn. We have heard that Aaron Glenn is a player's coach. He is a former player. You should kind of expect that from a former player to be a player's coach. They kind of understand more things that a player goes through and is better to and is able to relate to them better than maybe a coach who hasn't played in the NFL. But Aaron Glenn seems to be a player's coach. Only issue is his players going to get it done for him? And it kind of sounds like Geno Smith as well as Demario Davis sounds like they will get the job done. Let's go ahead and play the next clip. Make sure you guys are sounding off in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. And most of all, let me know if you like what you're hearing from Geno Smith so far. We've heard about his maturity, how he's grown as a person due to him being a father, and also due to having 10 years of experience since his last stint with the New York Jets, becoming a better quarterback, playing with great organizations like the Seahawks, who were able to build elite talent around him. I do expect the New York Jets to do the same exact thing. So you guys sound off in the comments, especially to my Geno doubters, because I was one of them. So far, from what you're hearing, does this change your mind? Could Geno Smith actually be the guy for the New York Jets? Let's go ahead and get into the next clip, man.
You grow from the adversity that you faced last year. You know it better than anybody as far as any pro is concerned. Sometimes you're going to be at the high point. Sometimes you're going to endure some lows. But as far as last year, carrying it through to this year, how can you grow from that?
Man, there was a ton of growth in last season for me. I think when I look back on it, that's what I can, you know, really hang my hat on for last season is that I grew in so many ways and I got better in so many ways. Was still up, 67% completion, was still high, 60s completion percentage, close to 70. Turnovers obviously was terrible last year. Can't have that. And, you know, I put that onus on myself. I'll never make an excuse for that. I've got to, you know, get that headed, you know, in the right direction. And that's really what I've been focusing on, studying film and working in the offseason with my trainers to make sure that we eliminate those things, because the big plays, we made a ton of big plays last year. We were one of the most explosive, you know, offenses for the first couple of weeks of the season. And then, you know, we just kind of fell apart. And with that being said, I learned and I grew and I stuck it out. And, you know, the guys who really held the rope until the end, because our team really did that last year. Everyone held the rope. No one was quitting on the team. Everyone was, you know, still coming into the building and, you know, giving maximum effort because of the leadership that we had on that team. Those are the things that you can really hold on to. And I believe that, you know, even though the season didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, I still learned from it. And there's still going to be things that I can use in the future, you know, from that season.
Okay, when it comes to that, you guys sound off in the comments to let me know. But when it comes to that, I would have liked to hear a little bit more of how he grew from his season with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I don't hear anybody blaming, including me. I do not totally blame Geno Smith for his season with the Las Vegas Raiders. Like I said on the live show, the minute I heard that Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders, I kind of knew the season was over. I've never been a Chip Kelly fan since his tenure with the Philadelphia Eagles years ago. That kind of symboled to me the type of coach that Chip Kelly was. There was reports that they were running plays that they've never even practiced before. So it seems like that offense, as well as the rest of the team, was just a mess under Chip Kelly. We've heard Pete Carroll had an interview. He said that he takes a lot of blame because he feels he didn't step up and do enough to make sure that Geno Smith was put in a position to succeed. And I do believe a lot of that ties to having Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator. He says that he's learned from it. It's things that he can use for the future. Does he mean that he can use the lessons he's learned from the Raiders just in case the situation with the Jets starts off bad? Does it make him a more composed leader as a quarterback? I would really wish he would have got a little bit more into it. I get exactly what he's saying. He said he's grown for that moment. I would have liked him to elaborate a little bit more, but hopefully there's a follow-up question when it comes to that. So let's go ahead and roll this clip.
And you sounded like a scout when you were talking about the Jets personnel offensively. What has you most excited about this group?
Really, just the opportunity to play with those guys, to play alongside those guys. For so long, I mean, I've been watching highlights of Garrett Wilson routing dudes up. I'm watching, Brees Hall run past defenders in the secondary and just make guys miss. And it's cool to watch it on TV, but now I get a chance to see it, live and in person. And so I can't wait to get on the field with those guys, just get to practice, you know what I mean? Just start to build this thing and, continue to work the way that I work, but, alongside with my teammates and we can work together, the way that we, the connectedness that we have and the camaraderie that we build. Those are the things that are going to pay off when Sunday comes and it's a big third down or, you know what I mean? It's a big fourth down that we got to get or, the game's on the line. You're going to look your brothers in the eyes and they'll know that you got them and you will know that they got you and you can go out there and you can be confident.
If there's one thing I am seeing from Geno Smith, though, I'll play it in a minute, but it does look like he's genuinely happy to be back with the New York Jets. Like when you're looking at him talk, it does kind of sound like a little PR-ish, in my opinion, because he's not fully elaborating. Like, I don't feel like we're getting the full personality of Geno Smith. He's not necessarily talking too deep into what he's learned, like, you know what I'm saying, what mistakes he's made and how he's learned from them. He's given us a lot of generalized points of why, but he doesn't necessarily go in depth with how he's grown. But other than that, judging by his face, it does seem like Geno Smith is genuinely happy to be a New York Jets quarterback, and that does mean a lot as well. Let's go ahead and continue the clip. Would have liked the follow-up question, by the way. Would have loved that, but it's still good to hear that he's excited to play with guys like Garrett Wilson, like Brees Hall. He knows the talent that those two players possess, so those are going to be guys that are going to be pivotal to Geno Smith's success. So salute to him for shouting those guys out. But he says he's excited and he looks excited. So let's go.
About that offensive line who just added one of your former teammates.
Man, heard so many great things. Again, still getting in touch with the guys, but just, looking forward to, standing back there and being their quarterback and connecting with those guys and, developing a brotherhood. Obviously played with Dylan last year and I know exactly who he is. I know he's a super, super tough guy. I mean, again, another guy who showed up every single day, went to work every single day, despite the record, despite whatever else was going on, a true professional and a guy who's going to give you 110% every single time. Those are the guys you want to go to war with. And so, all those guys on the front line, again, I've heard so many great things about them. I know we have some high draft picks and some guys who play really well. And so I look forward to, just being their quarterback and stepping into that huddle with them. That's the thing that, to me, is most important.
Okay, so salute to Geno Smith on shouting out the offensive line as well. I knew Dylan Parham was going to be a great signing for the New York Jets, losing out on AVT and John Simpson. Getting the left guard that's very familiar already with how Geno Smith operates and his mechanics, I think will be a great benefit for this offensive line as well as Geno Smith. Salute to Jake. He's the one that pointed it out on our live show that we do every Thursday around 3 o'clock. Make sure you tune into those. But great call out from Geno Smith and to call out the rest of this offensive line. This is going to be a way better offensive line than he had when he was with the Las Vegas Raiders. He should be able to succeed and have time to throw under this behind this line. So hopefully we get to see the best of Geno. Shout out to him and being excited to playing with these new Jets players. But let's go ahead and play this next clip. This next clip is about the expectations that Geno Smith may have. Only heard the first question, cut up the rest. So everything I'm finding out is going to be new, just like you guys. So make sure you guys sound off in the comments. Let me know if you like or you hate what you're hearing from Geno Smith so far. Let's go ahead and play the clip, man, so we can get out of here.
It wouldn't be fair to ask you about what you guys are going to do in schematically next year. You just signed, you just came over via trade from the Raiders, but you know who your coordinator is in Frank Reich. Just with the knowledge of his experiences, not only as a player, but as a coach and working with different quarterbacks, and then also knowing that you're going to be working with Bill Musgrave as well, a longtime quarterback coach in the NFL. Does that get you amped up as well?
I'm super excited. I got to meet Coach Musgrave in the building. Had a great talk, with Coach Wright. And, again, just super excited to be coached by those guys. Their track record really speaks for itself. Not much needs to be said about that. I just can't wait. I've had coaches, ex-coaches and people who know them just texting and calling me like, you're going to love these guys. They're quarterback guys. They've coached the best of the best. And for me, just, again, to have this opportunity, I'm really excited and very grateful.
We talked about it before to open up here that it seems like yesterday for me that you were drafted. But do you consider yourself a young 35 as far as your career arc and what's happened over the course of it?
Yeah, I would say so. Obviously those years where, I was the backup, had a couple years where I didn't take many hits. And so, I guess those years are now on the back end. You know what I mean? I can appreciate that. But I also take care of my body, my training regimen and my diet, all those things that I, again, those are things that has developed throughout my career as well. But, just understanding the importance of health. And mental health as well, just doing all the little things to prepare yourself to go out there and play well, on Sundays. And so, yeah, I'm a young 36. I would say I have, pretty good genetics. My parents look pretty young, but, I still work extremely hard. It's not easy, but I put the work in and that's what gives me the confidence.
That's one positive that we actually can look at when it comes to Geno Smith. I know a lot of people will bring up that he's 35 years old and his season last year. I've actually seen kind of like a decline from Geno Smith in his touchdown to interception ratio since 2023. Does that mean that he's not fitting balls into tight spaces as well? Is the arm strength declining? I don't think we can judge any of that, especially off of the season from the Las Vegas Raiders. I do believe in the last season with the Seahawks, he was still able to throw for 3,500 plus yards, if not 4,000. If I'm not mistaken, he still had a pretty good season. I do believe it was 20 touchdowns to 15 interceptions that season. So like I said, the touchdown to interception ratio started declining over the past couple of years, but the yards are still very much there. Geno Smith is a gunslinger. He's not scared to push the ball down the field, something that us Jets fans have kind of been begging to see after the last couple quarterbacks that we've seen. Aaron Rodgers wasn't even really able to push the ball down the field in his later stages, especially after his Achilles tear. We had to deal with Zach Wilson, who couldn't do that, even though he did have some big plays, but he wasn't able to do it from the pocket. We saw Justin Fields be scared to throw anything over the middle, out routes, whatever. Justin Fields was scared to throw the ball. We are not getting that in Geno Smith. So that's a positive that he feels that he's a young 35, which is true. He had a couple of years where he was a backup, didn't take a lot of hits. So there's not a lot of necessarily wear and tear when it comes to a quarterback of Geno Smith's stature. So it's going to be exciting to see exactly what Geno Smith has left in the tank. Let's go ahead and finish this clip out and then we'll get out of here. You guys sound off in the comments. Exactly. Let me know how you feel. Let me know if you like what you're hearing or if you hate what you're hearing so far. So far, I think I'm all right with it.
What did it mean to you to get that text from Demario that you alluded to before? And also, do you take responsibility, take pride in responsibility now that, hey, Demario's coming back here. You sign a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's done a lot of great things in the National Football League, and say, hey, we're veterans who were brought here for a reason, to help the culture and help this ship be turned around.
Oh yeah. Again, Demario, it seems like yesterday, he and I were, young players, trying to find our way on the Jets. And again, the way that this game works, man, we eventually went to other places, but hey, we found our way back. And, the opportunity again for us both to step back into that building, to start to, try and bond with our teammates and try and lead guys. That's what's important, man. I mean, and that's what this game is about, the camaraderie that you build with your teammates and with guys throughout the league. And so, yeah, Demario is a good friend of mine. I remember us, doing Bible study at his house, when we were both playing for the Jets back then. And now we get an opportunity, and we're super excited to be a part of this team. And all of us, man, we're going to do great things. I believe it in my heart, but I can't wait to get to work.
And finally, do you think you have unfinished business here? And what kind of message would you give the Jets fans as you return to the green and white?
Oh man, unfinished business. You know what? I think what we did in the past, that was a time, and now we're here. And I think you have to be where your feet are. I think you have to stay within the moment and focus on the, what's right in front of you. And so, yeah, I'm excited. The past is the past. My mind hasn't really gone there. I'm focused on what we can do now, here and now. And for the fan base, I'm ready to again, just dive into the community and just get to meet as many people as I can and try and help as many people in that community as I can. My foundation has been doing this since, Seven Sunday Heroes started back when I was, playing for the Jets back then. And it's been a thing that I've really, focused on throughout my career, is the philanthropy aspect of it. And, I want to be a part of the community. And, the fan base is a part of the team. They're, a big part of the team. So when the opposing teams, come into MetLife, it's got to be rowdy. It's got to be that old Jets feel where you don't want to walk in there because, you don't know what's going to happen. They're in your ear, they're being loud, and then that defense is out there swarming, offense putting up points, and everybody's excited, man. That's what it's about. And so we want to, again, cultivate that. We want to cultivate great energy throughout the organization and the fan base, and, get everyone excited about what's coming.
All right, man. So that was the interview from Geno Smith. You guys sound off in the comments to let me know how you felt about Geno Smith's interview. I ain't gonna lie, it sounds okay. Like, in my opinion, it's going to be two things. It's going to be either Geno is a little bit uncomfortable in interview situations, and that's the reason why he isn't able to elaborate the way that I feel like he should. Like, Demario Davis and Geno Smith talking about their future with the New York Jets are completely different. He even asked Geno Smith, do you feel like you have unfinished business here? Geno Smith seemed to kind of duck around the question, like, hey, I'm just trying to look forward to the future. I'm not looking back from the past, which is okay, in my opinion. Like, there's nothing wrong with him saying that. When Geno Smith left, it was on pretty ugly terms, for those who know, with him getting in that locker room fight, and then things just weren't right with him in the New York Jets after that. So I do understand him wanting to put that behind them, but especially with a guy on this line like Demario Davis, that he's been in constant communication with him, it would have made me feel a little bit better about Geno Smith being with the New York Jets, knowing that he has this chip on his shoulder and that he does actually have unfinished business, because he feels like he should have never got shipped off from the New York Jets, and they should have stuck with him and believed in him, and we probably would have saw that talent. Geno Smith wasn't terrible while he was here. Kind of just fell off because of the locker room fight. The numbers were growing year to year, and until that scenario. So I kind of would have liked to hear a little bit more. He didn't necessarily leave a message for Jets fans as asked as well. So I guess when it comes to how I feel about Geno Smith being in New York, I'm okay with it. I would have liked to hear a little bit more from him, a little bit more insight, to get me a little bit more excited about the prospect of Geno Smith being the Jets quarterback going into 2026. But like I said, it could be two reasons of that. Maybe he just doesn't interview well. This interview was from the New York Jets. Maybe it was buttoned up. He knew the questions that were going to be asked him, and none of them caught him by surprise. I don't know the situation, but I just would have liked to seen a more open Geno Smith on this interview, but I'm still good with it. But you guys sign off in the comments, because that's going to be it for me, man. You guys sign off in the comments. Let me know how you felt about the Demario Davis press conference. Does it get you excited to know that you have a strong leader, not only on the defensive end, as well as the locker room? And are you excited about Geno Smith possibly being, he's going to be a bridge quarterback, in my opinion? We got to see how things go now. Geno Smith out here throwing 4,000 yards, 30 tutties, and 11 interceptions. I mean, draft the kid, but you got to keep Geno if he's putting up that level of production, especially if it's leading to the Jets winning games. Geno Smith does have an opportunity to write a storybook story for the New York Jets in his return, and I hope that that's not lost on him. I hope it's not lost on him, because, man, what kind of amazing story would it be for Geno Smith to come back and lead the New York Jets to the playoffs or something like that? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I hope he knows what an amazing opportunity that he has in his hands as the quarterback of the Jets in 2026. But that's it for me, man. Make sure you guys like the video. Let us know that you were watching. If you were tuning in from beginning to end, I appreciate you. You could have been anywhere in the world doing whatever you wanted with your Sunday, but you decided to spend it here with me, hearing about these new acquisitions to the New York Jets. But Demario Davis is a star to me. Can't wait to see what he does with this team. But holla at me in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Peace.